Hello, welcome back to Spring CS170. Just wanted to go through a couple of admin stuff before we get into some of the lecture. So there was a couple of questions. Number one, there was a suggestion for me to put my email onto my page, which I've done here. Um, and there was also some suggestion about printing out my notes along with the PowerPoint slides on the PDF, which that's fine. I'll get around to doing that. I haven't had a chance to do that, but I'll try to export my PowerPoint into PDF with the notes at the bottom. Just give me a chance to do that. I'm gonna probably crank through the next few lectures over today and tomorrow, and then I'll go back and hit the other PDFs that I generate and regenerate them with the notes. Okay. And then there's a couple other things. There were some questions about, can I use a calculator for the exam? Um, I think that's a tough question. Like if we were doing these as live classes, no, you wouldn't be allowed to. But the fact of the matter is you're sitting at home doing this. You're already kind of running as an open book test. So yeah, you can run the calculator and, really again to the honor system, we're hoping that you're just going to use the basic functions for the calculator to do the conversion. And again, as I mentioned to some of you who submitted the work, please do submit when you actually do the exam, please do upload the work, right? And I got a lot of submissions for the extra credit, which was very good. And the work that was presented there was spot on. I saw a lot of you did it exactly the way we showed it on the PowerPoint slide. And if you do that for the exam, you'll be spot on. You'll get full credit for it. And like I said, every time we cover these things on the lectures, I try to cover stuff that's going to be on the exam, right? So I don't cover extra things because that's really a waste of your time, waste of my time. So, and I'm telling you right now, for sure, you're going to get conversions on the exam, right? And it's going to be very similar to what you just saw for your extra credit. And the way I saw a lot of you submitted it to me is pretty much exactly what you're going to get for the exam. Do the conversion, show the work exactly the way you showed it to me, upload it, and you'll be fine. Okay? So, show the hex conversion, right? So you show like the 4 bits binary and then the hex next to it if you're going to convert it that way. And it seems like most people find like the remainders method to do the conversions from decimal to binary or to hex. It seems to be the one that most people can get their head around, can work with that, so that's fine. And I think by doing the extra credit, just keep that as a reference. Again, it's open book, right? So show the map, show the work that you did, and you'll score 100% for the exam for that section. So again, open book, right? And I like to drive this home, and I'm almost like a broken record with it. Open book when it comes to like doing like the coding aspects of this class. When you get into HTML, when you get into the JavaScript, you just have these examples, right? So write the examples down and then refer exactly to those examples. And you change a few things here and there, but you have the example, and then that should be it, right? To me, that's the most easiest way for you to do well in this class, right? You have your textbook you can refer to, right? So for all of the kind of history like type of stuff that we talked about earlier in the class, be able to refer to that quickly, be able to pull that out. The mechanical stuff, like what we're doing now with the conversions, what you will be doing with the HTML, the JavaScript, just write down examples and then refer to those examples and pretty much apply them. It won't be spot on exactly, but it will be pretty close, and you should do well for the exam. Okay, so that's my helpful suggestion or tip in how you can prepare best to do well on these exams. Okay. So I like to try to align my extra credit to help you create those type of notes and whatnot so you can do well in the exam. Okay. Now the other thing that people asked me was, Well, okay, so these extra credits, are you looking for, uh, the fact that you actually completed it or that it's correct? Look, the truth is, like, you submit all this stuff to me. Obviously, there's like over 200 students in my section or my sections that I cover, and if I'm going to sit there and look at all of those, I'm not going to be able to respond to your emails as quickly as I do. And I get approximately in the order of like 300 plus, 400 plus emails a day that I have to kind of sift through. So I'm not going to really have time to look at every single question and grade it and look for like any mistakes. Uh, but for the extra credit, I do see enough of them. I pretty much know what the answer is, so I do look very quickly. And if something catches my eye as being incorrect, I'll highlight it. But really, these extra credits are for you, right? So you're able to double check pretty quickly or pretty easily for yourself whether you did the conversion correctly or not. Um, and the notes that you write for this are going to be the basis for you to study for the exam, right? And that's the reason why I asked you to do it. So no, I'm not going to really grade um, all your stuff. You might get lucky. I might catch something out of the corner of my eye and say, oh yeah, you didn't paste this incorrectly or whatever. Um, but for the most part, the reason why I asked you to submit these extra credits is really like, one, are you listening to my lectures? And two, to build up your repository of notes and examples to study for the exam. It's not really for me to grade your submissions, okay? So I don't really have time to grade all your submissions, really. If I catch it, I will, okay? So that's the purpose of these things. So you submit it to me. If you ask me specifically, say, hey, I don't really understand how to do this, am I on the right track or whatever, of course, I'll help you on that. But if you just give it to me and say, hey, is this correct? I'm probably not going to have time to really grade it, okay? And the other thing, and this is really helpful for all of your classes when you interact with your professors or when you are out in the working world, um, try not to put a whole bunch of different stuff. Well, okay, number one, don't write a super long email, right? Number two, if you write a long email, um, just focus on one thing, right? So ideally, you're sending me email that's not too long, fairly concise, and you're talking about one subject. Don't ask me about 5 different things in one email, okay? Human nature, especially when someone is getting a whole bunch of emails, is to really like zone out. If you write a super long email or you ask me 5, 10 different questions about very different things, I'm going to miss something, right? So ideally, you can send me a short, quick email, ask me one specific question, get to the point. What is it that you need to check on? And then I'll try to respond to you as quickly as I can. So even if you have to send me 10 different emails, that's okay, right? Maybe I only have time to respond to 5 of them right away. I'll respond to them. I'll get to the others. Um, but if you put all 10 of those topics into one email, you kind of leave me in a jam here. Number one, I'm going to probably miss one of those questions. Number two, I'm not going to be able to respond to all of it in one email. If I do, you're going to have to wait until I figure out all 10 of those questions before I respond back to you. So I think it's better if you keep them as short emails, focus on one particular question or topic. Okay, so that's my suggestion. And it's something I think is helpful when you're interacting or writing emails in the business world, right? When you're like writing an email to your team, to your boss, whatever, keep that in mind. Keep it concise, keep it to one topic per email. Okay. All right, so let's see. With that, let's go into your student schedule for this week. Okay, as usual, let me have to zoom this guy. And so we're here. Um, Actually, there was another question about like the sound waves, the sampling, and the bit depth. I'll get to that in a second. So here we are. We're in week 3. Okay, so coming across here, here's the topics: HTML, networks, internet, World Wide Web, search engines, 4, 3, and 5. On your recitation, you're going to be covering basic HTML, and here's like your assignment. We're going to have the post, the do, and the accept until date. And you have, again, simple quiz, number conversion, right? So that's going to be for this week. I'm going to try to see if I can squeeze in like some discussion on chapter 3 really quick. Before that, though, I'm going to go back to capturing sound digitally. So let me see, Nyquist. Let me see here. I can probably, okay. All right. So you remember this part here. I think this graph should be good enough. Let me click on this to kind of go through. So there was some question about the the x-axis and the y-axis. So x-axis is let me click on this one here. Let's see if I can get this bigger picture. So then with the sound sampling, remember there's 2 dimensions. There's x and the y, right? X is going horizontal across, right? And that's your sampling, right? You're sampling the sound wave. And your bit depth refers to your your y-axis, right? Going up and down vertically, okay? So it's the resolution that you get going up and down. Why is this is so annoying? Sorry about this. My computer is very annoyingly low on memory. It's killing me. Let me see here. Is there another one? I don't know why I picked the Berkeley one again. Hold on. Don't want to waste too much time here. Save image. Actually, this might be the easiest thing to do. So here. But there should be a zoom in here, right? Is there a zoom in here? All right. All right, just in the interest of time, I'm just going to go with this. I know it's a little bit small on your screen, but basically, going along horizontally, this is your x-axis, and you see all these little slices here, that's your sampling, right? So obviously, the more sampling, the more frequent you're taking the sampling, the more smoother this curve is going to be, right? You remember before, if you only took very few samples, like your curve looks very blocky, right? And that refers to how accurate your representation of this curve is going to be. Remember, this curve is your sound wave, right? Sound is a wave, okay? So how frequently you sample is really going to determine how many points along the x-axis you're taking. Remember one of the questions on your check was like doing the interval. So those are your intervals. How frequently you do those intervals, your sampling is gonna impact how accurate is this representation of this curve, right? But keep in mind that your bit depth, which is your other angle, which is going up and down here, right? So you can see like there's like 2 points here, right? I guess that's a 1, and then this is like a 0.5 maybe, and a minus, and a minus, right? So on those, that's considered your bit depth. Again, how much resolution you're going to have increases. So the bigger your number, the more accurate you are. Obviously, that can approach infinity, so you're not going to do that, right? But you're going to get high enough to get enough resolution for human hearing, which is fine, right? So yeah, it's not 0.5, it's 0.1, I guess, right? So 0.1 and 1, right? So you want to make sure that you just kind of understand that, right? The main thing, right? Kind of beat it over and over again is this Nyquist rule, and how many times you have to sample, and why is it that the more sampling, the better it is, right? So just remember, like I think in the picture I showed, it was like very blocky if you only took like a few samples, right? So the more samples you get, the better, smoother curve you're going to get, right? So more accurate representation of that sound wave, right? And then going up and down, which is your vertical or your y-axis, that's your bit depth, okay? Hopefully that's clear. I know some people ask me about that, and hopefully that kind of clears things up. And I didn't really want to spend a huge amount of time on it. Go back and check the book on it. They cover it quite well. But if you have further questions on it, just let me know. Okay. So I'm going to only have a chance to hop quickly into the beginning part of chapter 3, and then I'm going to cut a few more lectures off of that. Here's chapter 3. All right. So this is an important concept, synchronous versus asynchronous communications, which is probably what I'm going to cover for this lecture. And then you have all these other different things in terms of network, this idea of a client server, IP, this is internet protocol addresses, domain names, domain name servers, top level domains, TCP/IP protocol, which is how we transmit stuff over the internet, or over the network per se. Different things that make up the network. WAN is wide area network. LAN, local area network, which has the Ethernet, connecting to internet, internet service provider, ISP. You have your campus, what you usually see at Rutgers. You have your wireless network, worldwide protocol, you know, how we look at things for addresses on World Wide Web. And then that's when we start to giving a little bit of intro on HTML. Okay, so let's hop into this quickly. Let me make this bigger if I can. Let's see here. There we go. Okay, so first important concept, synchronous versus asynchronous. Okay, so synchronous is like we're kind of on the phone together, right? We're talking, we could be talking at the same time, right? Just going back and forth very quickly, pretty much at the same time. Okay, asynchronous, prime example of that is like email, right? So you send something to me, maybe I'm going to respond to it right away. Maybe I don't see it. Maybe it's just in my pocket for a while, and then I'll come back and respond back to you like an hour later or a day later or whenever, right? That's asynchronous, right? So those are the easiest way to think about the difference between synchronous communication and asynchronous communication. Synchronous, you and I together talking on the phone, right? Asynchronous is email, you respond whenever you get around to it, okay? So there's this idea of broadcast, multicast, and point-to-point, okay? So broadcast, yeah, that's kind of something like this, where it's just essentially like a one-way communication, right? So someone gets out there and pushes it out, right, to a whole bunch of people, right? A prime example would be like, let's say a radio station or something, right? So that pushes it out, okay? Um, Multicast is, well, you have like many receivers, but it's not really the same as typically of a broadcast, but it's also more of a subscription based. So you're a group, you're a particular group of people, right? Um, so uh, let's say Rutgers has an announcement, overall announcement, and they want to send an announcement for like uh, you know the teaching staff, the professors or whatever, about what do we do with the snowstorm that's coming up, right? What's our contingencies and whatnot. So it's not like they want to broadcast to the whole entire university, right? They only want to broadcast to a specific group of interested people. Okay. uh, you can think of other interesting people, and then how they would subscribe to like a broadcaster, right? So that's kind of like that, right? Uh, and then point to point, or you can say peer to peer, is essentially this, right? Their example is like people talking to each other on the phone, right? One person going to another person, right? Specifically, okay? So these are the kind of like common classes or groups of transmission methods, okay? And you can see the point here, which is an interesting point where, um, you know, the internet, uh, essentially when you're sending information back and forth, um, it is it's not the same thing as a phone, right? So if you're a phone, you kind of have a direct connection between the two parties, and it is really synchronous. It can happen exactly at the same time. Um, the internet, when you're talking to someone, it may seem like you're talking at the same time, and the information is kind of happening the same way as a phone, but it's not quite there. But because the speed is fast enough, it feels like it's kind of synchronous, right? So when you do like an internet phone, and you're kind of conversing someone over the phone, it's not technically synchronous, but because of the performance where everything kind of goes back and forth pretty quickly, it seems like it is. Okay, so that's just a little bit of an interesting side note there. So I've already run this lecture over 20 minutes, so I'm gonna stop here, and then I'm gonna pick up from here for my next lecture. Okay, thank you.